Super Talk 99.7 WTN. All right, we'll get back to the power situation coming up in a moment, and I'm certain that it will come up in conversation with our next guest in studio. He is Representative Johnny Garrett. He's a good friend of the show. We want to talk with him about the General Assembly, find out what's going on in Goodlettsville, make sure everybody's okay up there, and discuss his run for the 6th Congressional District in the United States House of Representatives. He joins us in studio, first time for the year, and it's good to have you back, brother. How are you?
Thank you, Matt. Great to be here.
You look good. You just look like you got out of the duck blind or something.
I wish I'd be nice to be in the duck blind right now.
By the way, I like that hat. When are you going to bring me one of those hats?
You got it. Next on my list, pal. You got it. Make Tennessee America.
Yeah. Make America
Make
Tennessee.
America Tennessee. Yeah.
No, I got it.
You're reading it.
No, that's right. I had an advantage.
That's right.
So if you're watching on Talk TV, you can see the hat. If you're not, Johnny is sporting a nice camo hat with it. I wish it wasn't so orange, but that's okay. I'll forgive it.
Oh, you'll get used to it.
Make America Tennessee.
Yeah,
I'm used to it. Trust me. Look, I got this big one behind you.
I know.
Constantly. He reminded me today that Georgia and Tennessee are playing basketball tonight.
6 o'clock. You'll see.
It's in Athens, baby. So
that's right.
Is it at 6?
I think it's at 6.
All right,
maybe I made that up.
No, that's good. We'll take the 6 o'clock hour off there, Jackson.
That's right. There you go.
Go to a watering hole. How's it going up there in Goodlettsville?
It's going really well.
You doing all right?
Doing okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it's this storm has been complicated. Nonetheless, people still without power. They're really getting antsy. 4 or 5 days without power. I've got a couple of family members staying with me. We were lucky and blessed enough not to lose power, and they still have it out. So it's rough. I just hope people know that to be patient. They'll get to you. They're working on it. But there's a lot of questions out there.
Tennessee. I mean, the entirety of the Southeast, really, but in the state of Tennessee, my adopted home state, I would say that we are a resilient people. We can handle it, but that doesn't mean that we aren't going to get grumpy about it when the power's out for a few days, and there aren't a lot of answers in it. And it feels like there maybe is a growing public relations issue with NES, and they can repair a lot of that an hour from now when they come on the show with us. I'm not asking you to speak for them, but there's some folks that are wondering what the heck's going on and why it's taken so long specific to their region of Middle Tennessee.
That's right. Of course, it's I don't know if people were around in 94 when we had such an ice storm like this. I think that's the last time the state was shut down for purposes of an ice storm. So I just think that it's an unprecedented storm. And I think they're doing the best they can, and we'll see what happens. I'm sure there'll be lots of questions, hopefully answered, and some transparency on NES's part on sort of what's going on here. People deserve that. People want to know.
Well, but what I love is whether it's Goodlettsville or my new adopted hometown of Mount Pleasant or wherever it is. Neighbors help neighbors, man, and I love it. You just mentioned it. You bring some folks over. If y'all don't have power, we've got power. Come on over to our place. That's what I love about living in the South and what I love about living in Tennessee.
You're living in the best state in our country.
The volunteer state. There's a reason they call it that, right?
That's right, and that's one of the reasons why I love representing my folks in the 45th, and that's one of the reasons why I can't wait to represent them in the 6th District in Congress.
Speaking of the 45th, this is a great week in the General Assembly because y'all are doing absolutely nothing, which is good for our wallets.
It's strange. It is. Anytime you can have more money in your pocket's a good day. But yes, the General Assembly has been on hiatus during this. The legislature has been in recess until we can get back in the building. In fact, I just came from my legislative office moments ago, getting a little bit done, getting prepared. I think we have the Governor's State of the Union coming up next week, and that's when we come back into session and start doing the good work that Tennesseans elected us to do.
Well, I certainly want to talk to you about some of the national issues going on, but let's talk about state issues first. Priority education scholarship, I described it, people got mad at me because I described it as in its first year wildly successful. I felt like it was a fair statement. 50,000 people have now applied for it. There were 20,000 scholarships first year. Those scholarships went immediately. There was a waiting list. There will be another waiting list. There's talk about expanding it at least by 5,000 scholarships. I feel like it's been successful. What about you?
I think it's been widely successful. When I ran for state representative and now that I'm running for Congress, I'm always going to support parents having more freedom, more choice for their students. I was in that same boat. You can't be hampered by your zip code on what particular school you go to. And I don't believe that's a knock on our public school system, at least in Sumner County. And I think across the state, we have a great public school system. But it's just, what if you're not going to fit in and you have no other choice, right? You are paying taxes Everyone's paying taxes to educate our children. Why not let you have a little bit of control of where your taxes go? That's an important piece, I think, of this piece of legislation, is that it can follow you. Your taxes can go to help pay your bill for educating your children at your choice of where they want to go.
And I've said for a while, I don't pretend that any of this is perfect.
Mm-hmm.
I understand that there will be things that come up that need and require fixes. That in a system this big and in a situation this large, but the entire purpose is twofold for me, in my mind, is one, to give, you mentioned it, to give parents more opportunity, more choices, to make the best educational opportunity available to their children. Mm-hmm. That's number one. And number two, to help the public education system get better by providing incentives to get better. I mean,
that's right.
If we do have some failing systems, if there's incentive, maybe a little bit of competition in there, it's going to encourage them to do better.
Absolutely. I mean, that's why I'm stepping in and running for this 6th congressional race, is because President Trump is trying to close our federal education department. And if you know this, Matt, the average wage that someone makes in that department is twice what our teachers make. Twice. If we can have more power back to our locals, they can thrive more. This program could be even more successful with more resources that we could have for closing the useless Department of Education. That's why I'm in this. That's why I've been doing this for 7 years at the state level, to keep funding our public schools. And that's why I'm going to take Little Tennessee to D.C. to make something work, make something different.
Hey, just to make you feel a little nervous, 4460 has written in and says, hell, I thought Johnny was an old man. He's a pup, and he's got my vote.
Well, I like 44. And then what? What's the but?
And he said, but
however,
but does he use the word dadgummit? You know.
Oh, my good friend Burchett. Well, dadgum. I hope I don't know if I can do it as good as Burchett, but
nobody can do it.
Nobody can do it better.
We tried to play a dadgum drinking game when Burchett's on with us, and I had to suspend it because people were falling out. They're keeling over.
I don't know if you have enough liquor in here.
Right, alcohol poisoning.
Yeah, you would.
What other priorities in the General Assembly, before we talk about some of the national issues, are there priorities for you? Are there things that you're focused on from a leadership perspective or just from your district perspective that you want to talk about?
I do. Well, I mean, there's obviously a huge push for the immigration package that our Speaker and Lieutenant Governor has put forth, several pieces of legislation that will be offered to hone in on illegals being present in Tennessee. That's one of the reasons why I filed my piece of legislation that you have to be a natural-born citizen or denounce your dual citizenship in order to run for Congress, right? Our state, our country is wanting our immigration system to work. Legal immigration is fine, right? We want people to come here, but it's the administration previous to President Trump that just had open borders that now we're dealing with the 11 to 15 million people are here in this country, thousands and thousands of them here in this state. What do? We have to make sure that illegals do not belong in the state of Tennessee, and that's going to be a priority, I think, this year. That's a priority, I believe, even for our federal government to continue what President Trump has done to close our border. He solved that. Only took a new president, right? We remember that.
Remember when Joe Biden told us it was taking an act of Congress and all that crap?
Punting it down the road like many, many presidents have done before him, right? President Trump acted. He acted and he got it done. We know it can get it done. That's what excites me about, one, representing my district here at home and also representing the 6th district, because we're going to do the same thing we did here in the state. We're going to take it to Congress.
I had the Speaker on, and he described the legislative package involving immigration as making sure that Tennessee is best positioned to assist in any way possible the federal government in their goals to make sure that if you're here, you've got the proper documentation, you're doing it the right way, you're not doing it the wrong way. That's what it's all about.
That's right. I think a year ago or 2 years ago when we had our immigration czar and President Trump's administration was coming in, I led the fight for that so we could be ready for what's to come. And Tennessee's in a position to do just that. We have to continue that push, not only here, but also on the federal government level, because it's not going to go away. It's not going to go away. We've got to be sure people are wanting that. Just because we can't let – and I know we'll talk about this, but we can't let Nashville and Memphis turn into Minneapolis. I mean, you've seen what an open border policy with Omar Ilhar, however you pronounce her name
whatever.
up there, that's just a travesty up there in that state. We cannot have that here in the state of Tennessee.
Well,
We can't be that lax about it.
And let me tell you, you're not going to get any. You're not going to see national stories on whatever they're calling MSNBC now, whatever that name is, or CNN or some of these other alphabet soup networks. You're not going to see the national stories about Memphis.
Oh, no.
There could not be.
You know why? Because, man, it's working.
I know. There could not be a more clear juxtaposition between how Minneapolis has descended into chaos and how Memphis, the people of Memphis are like, thank God.
Yes.
Finally, we have safer streets. Not perfect, but I feel I've seen local stories where grandmas say that their grandchildren can ride their bicycles at dusk now.
That's right.
And don't have to run inside when it gets dark for fear that they're going to be shot.
That's right. Senator Brent Taylor, who represents Memphis, has been on the forefront of Make Memphis Matter and is the co-sponsor of this piece of legislation in the Senate, has done a phenomenal job. He tells me he gets text messages, emails, telephone calls of people going out and enjoying Memphis now. And the reason is because, surprisingly, They cooperated when President Trump said, we're going to send the National Guard down, we're going to have a Memphis task force, we're going to make Memphis safe again. And they actually cooperated. We have seen the exact opposite in Minneapolis, the exact opposite. And now I'm glad that at least President Trump and what could have been the Vice President of the United States and Governor Walz have actually had a conversation and moving the ball forward. They should have done that months ago.
Right.
Instead, the Democratic Party wants to defund the police and has this antagonistic approach to law enforcement.
Well, no, let's delve into that a little bit deeper in just a moment. Jackson, I need you to do me a favor. Line 1, I think line 1 is killing me on the super text line, suggesting that they're being forced to be on hold during this conversation, and they've got information about restoring power. Just pick up on line 1. Tell Mike we'll get to him at 4:35. If he can hold, and if not, we'll get to him then. And I apologize. I don't want him to have to wait there, and I don't want him getting mad at me. And he's apparently already mad because he says that we said crew and not lineman or something or another. So I want to repair that. I don't need anybody else mad at me. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Representative Johnny Garrett's in with us for a few more moments. 18 after the hour. We'll be back after this. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. And Matt Murphy for a few more moments with our good friend Representative Johnny Garrett, talking General Assembly and talking about his run in the 6th Congressional District and some of these national political issues. And obviously, many of them blend nowadays. Clearly, you've defined where you are on the issue of immigration. And we watch what's happening in Minneapolis and in Minnesota, and we talked about the juxtaposition between what happens there and what happens when a state is welcoming to ICE, welcoming to those federal opportunities that help clean up our streets and make sure that people are doing it the right way. I think it's a clear distinction between working with versus working against federal law, and it wears me out, and it's one of these pet peeves that I can't – it's a bird in my saddle. Trump's immigration policy, the liberal networks, it's not. It is America's immigration policy that long preexisted this president of the United States. We just finally have a president of the United States that has the cojones, if you will, to actually enforce what is federal law.
You're exactly right. And like we've said and talked about, we have actually seen that the numbers don't lie. And I think the liberal progressives, that any success that Trump has is not success, right? They don't want the president to win. They don't realize that when the president succeeds, the country succeeds, Tennessee succeeds. They don't understand it. They don't understand it at all. They want lawlessness. They want to defend the police. And that's just not what this country is about. And it's playing out right before our eyes in Minnesota and Minneapolis. And we can't let Nashville and Memphis become that. That's the bottom line.
How up are you on our is there a learning curve to getting up on, and maybe you pay enough attention to the news that you are already well-versed in all of this, but looking at some of these foreign policy matters that, don't necessarily directly impact the state of Tennessee, but as a congressional representative, obviously you're going to need to be on top of these. I'm thinking, Venezuela, and when does Congress's role kick in on an issue like Venezuela? I would think, knowing you as I do, Johnny, you support what happened in Venezuela?
Oh, 100%. I mean, he was an indicted drug trafficker. He was not elected as president of that country. He was a dictator. I mean, millions and millions and millions of people are fleeing Venezuela at the time. So absolutely, I support President Trump in what he did. He took out a drug dealer, one of the worst drug dealers in the world, that were killing our children, that were bringing drugs here to the United States illegally, and then he was doing something about it. And you said it just a minute ago. We've had plenty of presidents, Democrat and Republican, back decades ago, saying the exact same thing that President Trump has said. But you know the difference? President Trump did it. That's the bottom line. And Democrats can't stand that. And so they're looking for some reason to show, we need to declare war. We need to do all these things to get Congress involved. And I don't believe the president has to defend this nation. And that's exactly what he's doing. And that's exactly what we've been doing here in the state of Tennessee at least past 7 years that I've been in office.
You have represented a state in the General Assembly that is one of the most financially responsible states in the union. At least when I first came here, I don't think it's changed that Tennessee does not carry debt. The state doesn't carry any debt.
Very, very little. We do bond. We have very, very little debt. We're one of the lowest per capita debt state in the country.
Right.
And that's intentional.
And y'all don't be confused. I mean, Nashville carries some debt. I mean, some of these municipalities carry debt, but the state does not. Well, then now off to Washington, D.C., Johnny, fix that. We're only like 38 trillion, 39 trillion in debt. I mean, how physically conservative will you be as a congressman?
And here's the deal. You need a congressman that can make those decisions, that have already had those decisions, that have been in the room or making those decisions on behalf of Tennesseans in the state legislature. I've done that. I've been there. And I'm ready to take what I know and take it to D.C. because it's going to be tough. $38 trillion. We're paying a quarter of our budget in interest on our debt. There's going to be some hard decisions. Look what President Trump has done since he's taken office. Since to even tackle some of these issues, we're actually decreasing spending in the Big Beautiful Bill, the Working Americans Tax Cut Act. I mean, there's so many things that President Trump has been able to accomplish in his just over a year that he's been president. I can't wait to get up there and help him and the agenda that he's put forward, because President Trump's agenda, America's agenda, is going to work for the state of Tennessee. It's happening. It will. People are just now going to see the effects of the Big Beautiful Bill when it comes. January 1 is when everything takes effect and what they're going to pay in taxes. No taxes on Social Security, overtime, et cetera. There's so many things that are going to be happening that our folks are going to see what he can accomplish and what we can accomplish together.
For the longest time, I feel like I'm up on these issues. I'm a relatively smart guy, and I'm like, where is all of this money going? How in the world are we spending billions and billions and billions that add up to trillions? Where's it going? And now we see the Somalian fraud. I mean, the levels of fraud that exist in Minnesota alone. Now you add, think about California.
You wait. You get to New York.
Tip of the iceberg.
You wait. You wait. And there's no administration that's doing this. It's not just limited to Minnesota. It's not going to be for what they've spent. Billions of dollars to Somalian refugees, whatever there were in their state there, for all these daycares that have no children in them. I mean, it's ridiculous. This is what has happened since President Trump has been elected to the presidency. That's why he needs strong conservative folks in Congress to back him up, to make sure what he's doing doesn't happen here in the state of Tennessee and other states. It's going to domino effect. It's going to have effect on each state that we touch and each state that we don't touch, to make sure America's in the strongest position that we can be. And I think with President Trump in the helm, we are, and we're going to be better.
I mean, is it a difficult sell when you talk to the people of the 6th Congressional District? I don't imagine that it's a difficult sell to them to say, hey, I'm going to Washington, D.C. to insist that the federal government leave us the hell alone in the state of Tennessee. I mean, I feel like that's what most people in Tennessee want. Just leave us alone and stop wasting our money and stop the fraud and abuse that goes on around the rest of the country.
Nobody, I think, wants their congressman to knock on their door and say, how can I help you, right? They want
I'm from the government, and I'm here to help.
I'm from the government. How can I help you? Right. I mean, that's not always the best line. That's not what they want. They do want, constituent service obviously is very, very important. To make sure that they are being heard when they have difficulties interacting with the federal government and with the state government as well. But they don't want it so overburdensome that they feel like the government is trampling them. We got to make sure that we have a small government. We got to make sure that D.C. can act more like Tennessee. And that's what I've been doing for the past 7 years, and I'm going to be doing just that if the good people of the 6th District decide to elect me to Congress on August the 6th.
All right, you heard the first thing he said, right, Jackson, when he came in, is I'm getting a hat. I don't want to wreck your campaign finance stuff. So just make sure I'll pay for it if I need to.
All right.
One of those fancy hats, Johnny. You know we like. I can't help but like you.
Well, I appreciate that.
And people give me hell for liking you so much. They say I softball you, but maybe it'll be more hard hitting next time around.
Well, bring it on, man. Bring it on. I'll be glad to come back.
Y'all don't just stay out of the General Assembly. Just y'all take another week or two off. I'm fine with that.
I'm ready to get to work. I'm ready to get to work. But if your listeners want to know more about me, they can go to JohnnyGarrettForCongress.com and learn all about me and learn how they can get involved in the campaign. But I would love to earn their vote and support.
Stop by the Grand Old RV Resort. Tell Tommy I said hello when you're in Goodlettsville.
I will.
Okay.
He'll be glad that you're gone.
Yeah, no, he was absolutely happy. He said I was making his RV park look too much like a trailer park.
That's right. That's right.
Thank you, Johnny. There's Johnny Garrett. We'll be back in a moment. It's time for news on Super Talk. Amen. 439 Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hello, friends. My name is Matt Murphy, and this is the Matt Murphy Radio Show. 8126 says, guys, I'm out of firewood and I need some badly. Do you have the super text line up and running in there, Jackson? Okay, because you're going to need it. There's a telephone number. Eddie has provided a telephone number. In these times where folks are still without power, and there are a lot of people listening to the radio show that are still without power, I'm now getting reports that there are now water outages in Davidson County. Is that true? Tracy has written in and says, have you seen the water outages? Water mains have burst in Davidson County. Pumping stations are down. We don't have any water. We are without power for 3+ days, and now we have water. Great infrastructure. Oh, my goodness. So I've not heard of widespread. I mean, this is the first I'm hearing about it, Tracy, but we'll get on it, and we'll figure it out if there are water outages. We want to know about that as well, 615-737-9986. But back to Eddie's request, one of the things that I said on Monday is if there's anything that we can do for any one of our listeners, we're going to try to put people together. I don't claim that I can, I got out to see Renee yesterday morning, got her and Gary some gas, and it was so good to see them. And I'll do that for anybody as I am able. That said, I don't pretend that I can get to everybody. I just try to do what I can. And so we lean on you guys, and we try to use our 100,000-watt radio station, plus, tune in, Spotify, iHeart, our app, Talk TV, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, Rumble, to put people together. That's all I can do, because I know how many good-hearted people are in this audience that want to help someone. They just don't know who needs help, and that's what we can do. We can put you two together. So Eddie has written in Hendersonville, says he's 84 hours without power, out of firewood, needs some badly, can drive and pick it up, can pay. So Eddie's got money and he's got an ability to get it, just needs firewood. If anybody has information, Jackson's looking at his phone number here on the super text line. If you have any info about where he can get wood in and around the Hendersonville area, give Jackson a call, and Jackson will put you in contact with Eddie. Eddie, thank you for the call. We'll get you some firewood, buddy. I don't have any doubt about that. 1932 says, no power, no water. This is what socialism looks like. You right about that, my friend. 3077 says, 3077, I go to church with the director of Metro Water. I'll ask him in about 2 hours about the water issue and let us know what's happening. And 6081 says, it's the tunnel project. It cut all our water lines. It's Trump and Musk's fault. No, come on now. Not the tunnel issue. Somebody said to me yesterday that the tunnel was probably flooded. I'm like, don't be a hater. They haven't sealed it yet. It'll be okay once it gets sealed. Will NES get their heads out of the sand and make some progress today into tomorrow? Who knows? Mike is in Jolton with a thought on all of this. Hey, Mike, how are you?
Hi. I had to call in. You guys are actually caring about your listeners. You put me in connection with someone. I'll just say his first name, Tracy, and he got other people and came and helped me with wood and water. And I just can't thank you guys enough for caring so much about us out here.
Well, we certainly do.
And to the linemen, those guys are doing all they can. They're working in horrible conditions, And if you could ask that the executive you're getting from NES that if they do hire more crews and it costs more money, are they going to pass that money on to us, which would be unfair? But that's it. I just had to call and thank you guys so much for actually caring about your listeners.
Well, I mean, Mike, that's what it's all about, brother. It's about neighbors helping neighbors. And I know I don't know a lot. What I don't know would fill a book. What I don't know would fill Percy Priest Lake 5 times over. But I will suggest that in my experience doing what I do on the radio, that I've learned whether I started this in Montgomery, Alabama. I grew up in Georgia, in Thompson, Thomson, no P in Thompson, and lived in Montgomery, Alabama, and started my talk radio career there and lived in Birmingham for a long time, and now in Tennessee. People in the South are the most giving, loving people on God's green earth. We are. And what I have learned is all you need to do is tell people that there's someone else in need, and they will help. They will help. I've seen it. I've seen it through hurricanes. I've seen it through tornadoes. I've seen it through ice storms. I've seen it through any number of personal disasters or natural disasters. All you got to do is put people together. And I've learned over the years, I know that I can be an a-hole. I know that I yell and scream about a lot of different issues and a lot of different things. And, if you're on my side on it, you're like, go Murphy. And if you disagree with me, you're like, Murphy's a jerk. And I get all of that. But if we can't do this for people during a time like this, then I don't know why we're here. And so I will stop whatever else we're doing. And you've noticed, and I don't begrudge anybody else I understand that there's a serious situation going on in Minneapolis. I understand that there's a lot of activity going on in Washington, D.C. I understand all of those things, and we are here to talk about them. But I'm going to help my neighbor first before we talk about that other stuff. And once again, I don't begrudge anybody talking about it, and I love it, and I think it's important, and I think it's good. But I want to help y'all. And if there's a way to do that, is it the most compelling radio? I don't know. I can't tell you that it is. Maybe some people don't like it, but I couldn't lay my head down on the pillow at night if I knew that there was somebody out there that was in need and they reached out to us and we didn't try to put people together when I know that there's people out there willing to help them. For example, I'm about to, as I speak, paste a number. All right. That is your guy. Will you call him? Fella just reached out on the super text line, says, I got a ton of split season firewood in Gallatin that fella can have. And I'm like, would you mind giving him a call? He has an ability to get to you. So, let's go. That's how we make it happen. Bonnie is next up on the show. Hey, Bonnie, how are you?
I thought you forgot about me.
No, ma'am, not you. Not you.
I was at a gas station today and met a man from St. Louis, Missouri, a young man that was driving one of these electrical trucks. So he's a lineman, and he has been in South Carolina. So he was headed back home to St. Louis, and I just popped the question to him, and I said, is it really true that they don't want to hire the union workers because, and it's about money, right? And he said, yep. So he's a union worker, and they don't want to hire them. I don't know where all this comes into play. I'm not a business person, but they don't want to hire the union workers to go out there and do the work.
Yeah, I mean, in a time like this, I would think that you would set all of that aside and you would get as many people out as humanly possible to get this situation repaired as quickly as humanly possible, because there are people suffering and, frankly, people dying. I mean, we now have, I think Ken Weaver reported, it's now up to 10, double digits in terms of the deaths that have been directly associated with this winter storm. So And as many people that are willing to pick up the phone and give us a call and say, hey, I need help. I know this too, Bonnie. There's plenty of people out there that just wouldn't do it if their life depended on it, literally. They just can't find themselves to ask for help. And so those people are going to suffer if they don't get power restored.
Can I tell you something?
Yeah, sure.
I work for this lady out of Murfreesboro, and her aunt lives in Belmead, and they're very, very rich. Her husband's a retired lawyer. They're out of electricity. I mean, it's off. So they're having to sleep in their sunroom, and they have some type of propane or some type of gas or some kind of heater in that room, and that's where they're sleeping. And the man is 91, and I don't know how old she is, but so this lady is probably going to go get them tomorrow if the electricity's not back on, because they're kind of too old to be there by themselves.
Is there anything that you think we can do for them, Bonnie?
No, they have plenty of money, and so this lady that I work for sometimes, they all got money. They're very smart. They come from a real smart. They come out of Sumner County, and they're very, very smart, and they're right there in Belmead, and so this lady knows, what to do. She's going to try to convince them. The woman wants to go, but the older man wants to stay there. He thinks electricity's going to come back on. But this is what I think. I think the city of Nashville needs to put these people up in these hotels. If they're not going to let the union workers come in and get the job done, then put these people up in a hotel and pay for it.
Well, we're going to get to the bottom of that in just a moment with Brent Baker and find out the truth of the matter. We're going to ask him the question directly, if that is the case, that they are declining opportunities to get more linemen out in the field. Bonnie, thank you for the call, and always a pleasure to talk with you. 0764 over on the Super Tech. This is what I'm talking about, and I can't focus on it too much or I'll start crying. I've now got people reaching out on the Super Text line saying, hey, is there anybody that needs any help in Wilson County? 0764 says, any calls for people in need in Wilson County? I got other people calling. Is anybody in Gallatin need any help? Does anybody down at, that's what I'm talking about. People are looking for an opportunity to help other people. All they need to know is when and where and how. And that's what America's all about. That's what living in the South's all about. That's what this state is all about, and that's why I love living here. Leroy, we'll get to you momentarily. Carrie, you as well, plus all of you on the Super Text line. We've made a love connection with our Wood fella, and hopefully that will bear fruit, or would, as the case may be. It is the Murphy Show on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Reports, and Ken, these are anecdotal, obviously. I mean, these are people just writing me, calling me, sending me messages on the Super Text line, telling me that Belmead, that people in Belmead are being told that they're going to be without power for 4 weeks.
I don't know, man.
What? That doesn't make a... I mean,
nobody that I've seen, there has been no official timeline other than they're going to be working to restore power through the weekend. That's all I've seen.
This says
from officials.
This says a customer showed me his email from the power company stating that they could be without power. Look, I'm not doubting that the person is relating the story as accurately as they possibly can, but it seems hard for me to believe, even 4 days out, that's what we're talking about. That seems a difficult proposition to swallow. But I'll ask the question of Brent Baker coming up in just a moment. We have a lot of questions about, dispelling some rumors and finding out where we are in the process. We'll talk to Brent Baker coming up in just moments on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. If you have any questions for a spokesperson from Nashville Electric Service, Get them in here. 615-737-9986. That's on the super text line. 615-737-9986. It's the Matt Murphy Show. Halfway home this Wednesday edition on Super Talk 99.7 WGN. Also coming up, our good friend Cameron Smith. He's on the way.